Hi, this is Amy. Thanks so much for stopping back. Today I'm going to show you how I painted this tree branch. And not just for the sake of argument call it a cherry tree branch, because I'm going to be using dots as the little bundles that you see sporadically throughout the tree branch. I thought this was a good way to incorporate not only just basic painting, but then to practice with my dots. As if you follow my channel, you know the dots can drive one crazy trying to get them to be nice and neat. But anyways, if you are new to my channel, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification bell that will pop up to give you the notifications of whenever I post a new video. If you have any questions, please feel free to link them down below in the comments, or not link them, but make comments down below if you have any questions. If you like what I'm doing, feel free to make a comment. If you want to share this video with your friends, if you like the video, please make sure that you do so. And give me a big thumbs up again at the end if you like the video. Alright, so tonight what I'm going to be using is my number 12 flat brush. It's a one-stroke brush. My chewed up number 8 Princeton Heritage brush, which my lovely blue healer got a hold of and chewed it up right after I received it. It was delivered, so that was nice of her. And then I'm also going to be using my new dotting tools, which I received yesterday, and did just a quick little video on the two different paints, the Folk Art Enamels as well as the Americana gloss enamels. And I'm going to be using a combination of the Folk Art paints, which this one is Coffee Bean, and that's the Folk Art Enamel. Then the Folk Art Real Brown, which is the multi-surface paint, and the Warm White, which is the Folk Art Enamel. Those will be used to create the tree branch. And then I have to look up all the different colors I'm going to be using, but basically with the Folk Art, or not Folk Art, but the Americana gloss enamels, I'm going to be using a variety of their pinks and reds and their greens for the leaf colors, but I will try to look those up here once I get done doing the video. Also, I am going to be using one of my nail dotting tools just to add in some little dots just to give more color. Basically, I have seven clumps on the tree branches, and between 1 to maybe 4 dots of each color. The smaller ones, I think I went ahead and I just put more of those at the very end, and that was just kind of putting them in where I thought that it needed to be filled in. So anyways, let's get started. Again, I'm using on the tree branch, I am going to be using the Folk Art paints, the Warm White, the Real Brown, and what did I say the other one was called? Coffee Bean. I should remember that. And I'm just basically dipping my brush and getting a little bit of each one of those paints on my brush. And I'll probably do it a little bit differently than I started out with before, as far as the thickness of the branch at the beginning or the end, however you want to state it, meaning this area here, because I made it pretty thick. And right now I'm just taking the brush just to kind of draw out what I think I want to have it do. And you know, tree branches are fairly easy to draw. Maybe not as, I think they're actually easier to draw than an actual tree. I kind of stumble with that a little bit. I'm sure there's probably a science to it, but I haven't figured that one out. Right now I'm just going to be adding in some of the little branches, kind of going over some of the branches I've already painted just to get them in a little bit better, make a cleaner branch, if that makes sense. And just putting a little bit of a wave in it. You know, tree branches are just kind of all over the place, really. So that's why I think they're kind of fun to paint, because you know, you really, doesn't have to be a science with this as far as exactly how you're painting them, or how thick they are, how thin they are, if they overlap, they don't overlap, they're single, double, whatnot. It just really, it's up to you. Alright, and like I said, I'm not going to make this branch as thick at the beginning, or the the end right here, the end of the paper, as I initially did. I didn't like how thick that was. But since it was just a sample, it didn't really matter. Just kind of putting some, wiggle in it. A lot of times the branches are not actually straight. And that's why I like with the smaller ones. If you want to put more wiggle on them or thickness, I'm just not real particular about it. But if you're somebody that are, then just have at it and do what you need to do to make it the way you want it to be. Alright, I'm just going to kind of work on this just a tad. And then my next step is going to be to put in the leaves. And this is where I am going to be using the number 8 round brush. I will be using 3 different greens. 2 of them are in this line, and then 1 is over in this line. And let's go ahead and do those. Like I said, I thought this was a great way to kind of combine different painting styles and practice my dots. So basically the leaves that I'm creating are I'm just putting down my brush and pulling it back. Putting it down and pulling it back. So it's very easy, very simple. I just wanted to create simple leaves for this painting and tie in some different colors. So I just basically sticking my paint into the little pots that I have here and putting them on the paper. Pretty darn simple. And they don't all have to be the same. Alright, I think that's it for this color. I'm going to rinse out my brush. Now, if you're somebody that wanted to, you could just continue on dipping into the other colors without washing in between. I, just for this project, prefer to rinse off in between, because I'm really not trying to mix the colors. Like I said, and some of them can be, a little bit longer. You can put them beside each other, like I just did on that one, or just kind of space them out. Let's see, where do I want this one? And like I said, I think it gives it just a nice variation when you're using the different colors, but not necessarily putting the colors together on one leaf. And again, you know, with my doing these paintings like I'm doing, you know, my primary reason for doing them like this is the fact that I want, I always get a lot of paint on my fingers from this one particular green. Not sure why. But anyhow, I want people to be able to paint and not feel like it's, you know, such a difficult task, because I know for some people, if you don't have any painting experience, it can be pretty intimidating to try something new. You know, for me, I like to try new things, which is, you know, fine. But, you know, if you're somebody that's not your thing, then that's fine too. It doesn't have to be. And you just can take a look back and say, okay, where do I want to fill in? You don't have to have a whole lot of leaves on this tree at all. Doesn't necessarily have to be completely filled in. And I think on this one I just got to stick it there. And maybe here. And just leave it at that. And leave it just like that. Alright. So now my next thing I'm going to do is go through and start adding the dots. Like I said, my hands are filthy here. Let me rinse them off. I just try to. For some reason I'm not getting them as clean as I had hoped. But anyways, I'm going to start with this big ball. And I'm going to start with a different red than what I did in my initial, because this big ball, this is probably the hardest one to do as far as getting a good dot, just so that you know. And I'm not sure if it's based on the size or the fact of I'm dipping it into a small container, but it's not the easiest to get like a really good dot with. So it's probably one I wouldn't use or recommend using if you're, you know, doing a mandala type painting and you need it to be a nice dot. And, you know, maybe more practice. Practice makes perfect kind of deal. I'm not sure, but it's definitely not easy. There's other tools I think that would be easier to use for the larger dots. And then I just got a little red dot. But I'm using this kind of as my base to paint around. And I'm using basically 8 different colors. So I need 2 more. 2 more bundles, and see, this paint is so watery. I'm actually getting it all over the paper. I don't recommend that you do that. But I think that's one reason they make good dots with this paint, because they are, the paint is pretty liquidy. It's not as thick as the folk art enamels. So anyways, let's continue on. Then I'm going to just kind of turn this, I want to call it a stylus, but the dot maker, I know that it has a name to it. I'm going to turn it and use the other end of it. So basically all my dots until I get to like the little one, they're all going to be this different sizes. I don't know why that's doing that. I guess it's because of the way the leaf is. Get kind of separated there, because this one really, it typically isn't hard to use. But you also might want to reload your tool after each dot, unless you're doing a series of, like where when you're doing a mandala, you do a dot and then come down the sides, making them smaller as you go. That, you don't necessarily have to reload. Some people have actually said that you don't need to, so I'm not that experienced in it, so I'm not going to say. Alright, so the next one I'm going to do is just more of a cherry looking red. And I'm trying to get some good paint on this ball. See if that makes a difference. Because I know supposedly it does on the... Let's see, this isn't making good round dots either, so I don't know. Yeah, I think the bigger balls definitely are more difficult. And I didn't seem to have this problem with my sample where my green leaves are kind of causing a problem. I'm not sure why that is either. Oh, I forgot this dot over here. Uh-oh. I think I need to revisit that and add some pink to it. I'm not sure how I skipped that. It's hard to say. Who knows? Alright, so my next color is going to be this lighter pink. And on this one I'm going to just go in and just lightly dot. And you can easily go over the dots. See, with this paint, I mean, it's actually literally, I don't even have to touch the paper. A lot of times the paint just runs right off of this tool. Now with your dots, if the paint underneath is still wet, like from another dot, it may not give a really good look. Like it may kind of meld into the other paint, and that's fine. Like I said, when you're doing a painting like this, and it's not a mandala, where I think with the mandalas, your dots really need to be good. Because we're overlapping and all that, it's easy to cover up or do some adjustments if you need to with the paint. Alright, so I'm going to go with this one next. This ball looks pretty big. I didn't line my tools up. Sorry about that. This is more like a cherry red. And like I said, if you want to add more colors, like say I'm just doing one of this one, that's fine. But if I wanted to do two, then I could do two. With the bigger balls, though, I think I'm just staying with one. You see, that's kind of messed up. I'm not happy with that look. I probably would try to tend to stay away from the wet paint with the bigger balls because they're kind of blending together. Like I said, the paint is just very runny, and it's not something I'm used to. So I might suggest that definitely before you put a lot of money into an expensive piece that you're designing, definitely give it some practice. And that's my whole point of doing what I'm doing tonight, is to do just that. Because I know, I've had such a struggle with dots for a very long time that I need to give it practice. And that dot's small. And go back in, and like I said, I don't know if you're seeing this, how this is just kind of running off of my tool, but I'm just barely, not really even touching, honestly. And some of these, it's just coming off. This kind of reminds me of runny cake batter. I know I come up with some weird things at times. And on some of these too, I mean, you could hit it with a dryer in between to stabilize the dots so that they're not so runny, or that they're not kind of melting into each other, as I kind of feel like some of these are doing. That's up to you. I'm not doing it just for the sake of the video, but if you choose to do so, that's great. Alright, so I'm going to go in here. Yeah, that one's still kind of runny. I'm not going to do that. I keep them small. Wish I was trying to get into that, but I know too with doing it like the Mandalas, if you're on this, I'm doing 4, I think, with this color. I cover that up. Yeah, you could definitely hit it with a dryer, you know, or if you have a heat gun, that kind of thing, just to get the dry a little bit, so you're not having this happen like what I'm experiencing. Like I said in my other one, I don't feel like it did it as much. I think you get the concept, hopefully. You're getting the gist of what I'm doing. Oops. Yeah, these light colors are pretty close to each other. Not really a true white, so I'm not sure. Not sure why I have both of those in there. And this might be different too if I were to do like bigger bottles. You know, right now I'm using these little sample ones to get an idea of like the colors and how the paint works and that kind of deal. If I end up sticking with these paints for these type of projects, then I would go with the larger bottles. I'm trying to stick these where it's, keep sticking these on colors that are very similar. But like I said, when you do this, then you can maybe even cover up. If you feel like you don't like how something looks on something that you've already done, then you can cover it up. Especially when you're doing dots like this, it makes it a little bit easier to cover up mistakes, or if a dot doesn't look the way you want it, without having to completely start your project over. Or if you're someone that's painting glass and you wipe it completely off and start over, you don't have to do that. So I always like to find easy ways to fix things instead of having to redo them, if possible. Alright, so then I'm going to start with this tool here and just kind of pick a color. I forget which one I did on there. I think it was the pink. Let me do the brighter pink here. So I'm just going to go in here and just stick some of these in. If I feel like there's a gap, that I want to fill in, or just even on the outer part. They don't all have to be clumped together. Oh shoot, I just stuck that wrong color. Probably should just close that lid and I won't have to worry about doing that. If you want to dot in between, dot on top. It just really, really is up to you how you want to do it. Just a smaller dot. And if you wanted to do this with multiple colors so that you had more of the different size dots, the smaller dots in your work, you definitely can do that. But again, I think it's great practice. I like to combine the two and I feel like with doing so, it's actually helping me get used to the paint, the tools, and doing the dots, so that down the road I feel comfortable, creating the mandalas. Again, if you like this video, please give me a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so you're getting my videos, because I do different types of videos. I mean, a lot of them are based around painting, glass painting, that type of thing. But if you try it, I'd love to see what your work looks like. Again, sorry for the dribbles there, but like I said, I'm still trying to get used to the paint. It is a lot thinner, a lot more liquidy, not as thick as what I'm used to. So here it is, just a simple little branch. Again, I appreciate you stopping by. Have any questions, comments, feel free to put them down below. Anything you'd like to see me paint, or thing to do with the dots, I'd love to work with you on learning how to do it, testing out the different tools, that type of thing. I'm for helping and learning, or you can learn with me as we go. Alright, well, thanks again for stopping by. Have a good evening, and until the next video, I will talk to you then. Thank you.